learn application security testing. Okay, let's begin. What is application security testing and how different is it from functional testing? The main objective of functional testing is to verify and validate if an application works in an intended fashion. You can easily perform this testing by understanding the intended behavior of the application and verifying it against a set of positive and negative test cases. So the outcome of functional testing could be what we call bugs or defects that arise due to the fact that an input supplied to the application did not bring back the expected output. But with security testing, the so-called bugs or defects, which in fact are security issues, are referred to as vulnerabilities. Now, a vulnerability is a weakness or a loophole in an application that could potentially expose sensitive or confidential information. So in a practical world, one vulnerability does not usually result in a major security breach or an incident. However, when multiple vulnerabilities coexist in an application, the person who tests the application or a malicious user can take advantage of all of these vulnerabilities combined together and cause a complete takedown of a system. Now, in some cases, this could also extend beyond a single application or a system and affect a network of systems. Before we dive into the different types of application security testing, let's understand the different domains of cybersecurity. So, cybersecurity is broad in that it comprises of different streams or domains. Let's see a list. What you see here is not an exhaustive list or a defined list. You can think of it as more of a reference that helps you position application security exactly where it needs to be. So we have physical security, asset security, communications and network security, cloud security, security operations, risk management, software development security, security assessment and testing, identity and access management. Now, I'm not going to get into the specifics of all of the domains here, but we'll try and provide one-liners for a few so you can get a good understanding of the domain of application security that we want to study in detail. So, physical security has to do with the security of the infrastructure of an organization. Then we have asset security, and this has to do with security of devices. A device could be a computer, laptop, mobile device, servers, etc. So you can think of it as a tangible object or a resource an organization has. Now, asset security just have to do with the physical device or the object or the resource that an organization has. But data security extends beyond the physical device and deals with the information that an organization has. So when you think of information, it is not just limited to data that sits in an organization's database or servers, but this also includes all information that is stored, processed, and transmitted by the organization. Similarly, we have other domains like communications and network security, incident management, risk management, etc. But let's not dive into all of it for now and stay focused on the application security area. Two crucial domains that you should definitely consider as it relates directly to application security are software development security and security assessment and testing. So with software development security, the real thing that happens is hardening the security of an application. Now, you could have a defined set of standards or policies or programming practices, guidelines, which you could use as a benchmark or a baseline for hardening the security of an application. But with security assessment and testing, the primary goal of testing is to uncover vulnerabilities in a targeted application. Now, this domain of security assessment and testing is not just limited to applications. An assessment can also be done to uncover vulnerabilities in network, infrastructure, web servers, or any other component for that matter. But what I'm here to say is that our focus area, which is application security testing, also falls within this domain of security assessment and testing. Now, let's take a quick look at the standards used for testing. Now, before I get right into it, let me clarify something. So with any other type of testing, for example, functional or performance testing, a defined set of test cases are written before the engagement that are specific to the application under test. But with security testing, there is no reliance on a predefined set of test cases. Instead, applications are usually tested against established benchmarks or standards common to all applications under examination. Now, there could be also certain things that are specific to an application. Say for example, a security issue due to a business logic flaw in an application could be more of a specific thing than a generalized issue across applications. Now we will learn more about all of these different types of vulnerabilities, business logic flaws, the ones that are specific to an application, one that is widely tested across all application, etc. in upcoming sessions. But for now, let's take a look at few standards that are used for application security testing in a generalized manner. So there are various standards available today in the industry such as SANS, NAST, etc. But one common and widely used application security testing standard is OWASP. And OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project. Now, OWASP has subclasses within itself. Say, for example, OWASP Top 10 applies to web applications, which is what we will use predominantly within the application security space. But there are also other OWASP classes that you can refer to for the clients, mobile-based applications, etc. Now, we are going to get into the different types of application security testing. But for you to understand this better, you should also be able to classify applications and apply the right standard or methodology. So let me give you a broad classification. So usually you can bucket application into one of the three areas shown here. We have web, the clients, and mobile applications. Web refers to applications that are accessed directly from the browser. The clients are also called native or standalone applications. You can think of this as a software that is installed on your computer and that communicates with a server sitting elsewhere in the network. Now, all of us know what mobile applications are, and even with mobile applications, we have native and hybrid mobile applications. Native applications are accessed only from a device, for example, from your mobile phone, whereas hybrid applications can be accessed both from a device and from a browser. Now, let's dive into the different types of application security testing. We have DAST, which is Dynamic Application Security Testing. We have SAST, which stands for Static Application Security Testing, Vulnerability Assessment, and Penetration Testing. So DAST, which is Dynamic Application Security Testing, as the name suggests, is dynamic in nature, in that the testing is carried out in more of a live environment. Now, dynamic testing is carried out by injecting scripts or malicious inputs into the application fields to analyze how the application behaves and to identify vulnerabilities as a result. Now, there are many subsections or areas to cover when you conduct a dynamic testing. However, one thing to notice is that this type of testing does not require you to have good programming skills, and so it is easy for beginners getting into application security to master the skill. Moving on to SAST. So SAST, which is Static Application Security Testing, is more of a passive testing in that it's done by reviewing the actual code to uncover vulnerabilities. Now, SAST requires of the tester to have coding or programming experience. Moving on to vulnerability assessment. Now, this is a common term which can be used to refer to both SAST and DAST, meaning this is an assessment done to find vulnerabilities and not really a specific type of application security testing. And finally, we have penetration testing. Now, penetration testing and vulnerability assessment are sometimes used interchangeably in the cybersecurity industry. However, there is a significant difference between the two. Now, while vulnerability assessment aims to find loopholes or weaknesses in an application, which are actually vulnerabilities, penetration testing goes one step further to exploit the vulnerabilities in the application and reveal sensitive information. Now, going back to OWASP for a moment now. Now, we have OWASP Top 10, like I said, which applies to web-based applications. We have OWASP Top 9, which is a code review standard in that it applies to all types of application. And the testing type that you can directly relate with OWASP Top 9 is dynamic, whereas for OWASP Top 9, the testing type that you can directly relate is static, which is SAST. We have OWASP mobile top 10 that applies to mobile applications, and we have OWASP thick client standard that applies to native or standalone applications. Keep watching to learn more about application security standards, testing, hands-on techniques, tools, technologies, and methodologies.